So this is interesting. So obviously we're talking to a tight end extraordinaire here in JD. Baltimore has the most sacks in the league, has the 12th highest blitz rate in the league, which I thought was pretty surprising. I didn't realize they blitz as much as they do. And obviously we know Mahomes shreds the Bills last week when they blitzed them, and historically one of the best quarterbacks ever against the blitz. That's why teams just they try not to do that, but when they do, it's trouble. Mahomes kind of dominates that. But this is a stat I saw from Next Gen Stats. The Chiefs utilize multiple tight end personnel groupings on 61.9% of plays in the first half, their highest rate in a game since 2018 last week. The Chiefs passed on 9 of 13 plays with multiple tight ends on the field, gaining 107 yards, about 12 yards per play. So my question is, JD, and this is a great question to ask you. Obviously, we love the 13 personnel. We love the multiple tight end sets. But with a team that blitzes as much as the Ravens do, have the amount of sacks that the Ravens do, how important do you think is the utilization of the multi-tight end sets this weekend against a team that pressures as much as the Ravens do? And also, if you're counting in what we did last week against Buffalo.
I think it's something because the multi-tight end set, right, 12 and 13 personnel, it gives you a little bit more of some structure in the line and blocking, because what a guy ends up doing is you can chip a guy, you can help out, and so it's an extra hat on your defensive ends or the linebacker who might be coming from the outside, and that helps just in the whole integral part of what we're doing in the pass protection. But also too, it's a weapon. It's a weapon because we can run with the guys. We can throw to our guys. All our tight ends can catch the football, do a great job of just hitting, Noah Gray and Travis Kelce when we need to. They make good big plays. Blake Bell comes in. He does his job as far as, blocking wise. So we got very capable blockers, from the tight end role. But I think that is something that you have to utilize. You have to utilize these guys because they do a great job. When I said there's the group that's consistent with the Chiefs, 2 of them, no doubt, maybe 3. Okay, that would be, well, we actually have 4, but tight ends are absolutely one of them. I would say it's either the DBs or it's the tight ends. That's the 2 groups that's always consistent. Okay, they do a great job for us. So why not keep utilizing that, right? Especially when you're gonna have some matchup nightmares. Noah getting out there, but also too them blocking and chipping and then getting out, because Patrick sees it, he knows, and all of a sudden he knows block, pass, dump, tight end. Okay, Kelce get up the field. Noah Gray get up the field. So that will stop a lot of that pressure, man. It will. It was negated, tremendously. So I all these things, we could talk about, like keys to victory. I think what it comes down to, honestly, Marcus, in this game is who makes the least amount of mistakes. That's what it's going to be. If a team gets a turnover or, like you said, the pressures and the sacks, and Patrick does a good job of recognizing things. He calls these things out. Creed does a good job of setting the defense, and these guys up front do a good job because they maulers. We got some guys up front: Donovan Smith, Wanye Morris. We got Joe Thuney, Trey Smith, Creed. They all do a good job on our offensive line. So you stop clowning those guys from coming, you're gonna be all right, man. You're gonna be all right.
Yeah. And also, too, I thought it was interesting. Do you think there's a reason why we utilized the multi-tight end set as much as we did last week? I mean, 2018, we're talking 6 years ago. And I feel like we use multi-tight end sets a lot comparatively to other football teams. Obviously, the Ravens, based on their offense the way it has been the last few years, they utilize their multi-tight end sets. But I'm surprised for the first time in that much in 6 years. That's kind of crazy.
It was shocking. I didn't know that, but I did see a lot of tight end sets. But it goes into running the football effectively, having that extra guy in, but also too, the little tight end screen that we run with Kelce. We know that Noah Gray and Blake Bell's going to be, and even though that's just one play, we know that our guys are consistent, right? When we know, hey, look, if we look at wide receivers, who we going to put out there? And so we start looking at like, okay, we could probably make one or two. We know Rashee Rice is going to be out there. Hopefully we'll get a couple other guys out there to maybe do some things. But, our tight ends, Noah Gray, pull him out there. Do what he needs to do. And it helps in the run game. Those guys are extra blocker, putting a hat on the guy. But it also, too, it does negate, maybe the effectiveness of the pass rush as well. So, plus it was a good matchup for us. When they decimated linebacker core that they had last week, shoot, why not? Makes sense. Attack the middle.
Yeah, and quite frankly, yeah, I think looking at the Bills' defense last week, they went with a lot more DBs, and so we were just overpowering them with our size and with the tight ends.
Yeah,
and obviously this stat was just more about the passing plays as far as the we passed 9 of 13 times with the multi tight end sets. Obviously, extra time, more blockers in there, but also too the blocking aspect on the running game, because you saw there was times out there when we were just giving the ball to Pacheco, and I mean, he was utilizing his tight ends, Blake Bell, Noah Gray, and Kelce on the sides. I mean, they were like, it was really, it also was a throwback to when you played. Really, that's what it seemed like to me last week. Is that what you noticed?
I did. I mean, and it's big bodies. That's what big bodies against smaller guys. Okay, big on big. We got a big on a small guy. And the big guy has to be somebody who can move their feet, who can do all those different things. And who do you employ? Tight ends to do those things, right? Especially when they bring in 6 DBs. But I'm just looking at the pass game. Travis Kelce had 6, Noah Gray had 3, and the other 2 that had, Kelce had 5, Noah had 3. The other 2, next guy in line was Rashee Rice with 4. Yeah. So your 2 tight ends is like, your leading receivers. So, and it worked. It worked. I would take my hat and I will lay it all on the tight ends. I've always said this, as a player in our room, we knew we had our stuff straight. We always knew it. You never had to worry about us. Okay. When we played, me and Tony, and Billy and Chris and all those guys, you had to worry about anything in our room. We knew we were straight. We was gonna get our stuff done. And I see our guys doing the exact same thing. So they just carrying the mantle on for what we had before. We have some really good tight ends here, man, but we got some good tight ends on the team right now. They do a good job of doing everything. Okay. So yeah, man, shoot, it just makes sense. We had a great offensive outing, right? Because of it. So keep that up. Keep it up. And it works well in the red zone. Which is what I was going to bring up also. I mean, if you look at what we did in the red zone last week, we kind of and you kind of made mention to it with looking at our numbers. Not very many receivers had catches last week. I think only MVS and Rice. I think is that it? Yeah, MVS. Let's see, Rice. Pacheco and Harmon had one. At the Harmon, and then H. That's it. That's all. Nobody else.
And then we got to red zone. Honestly, I didn't really see many guys out there besides MVS and Rice, and then our 13 personnel. That's what it seemed when we got to the red zone. We talked about our red zone struggles, and obviously last week we actually looked good in the red zone for the first time in quite a bit. Yeah. Do you think that has something? There's a link to going more tight ends in the red zone?
Of course. This is a matchup nightmare when you get constricted with space, and that's exactly what the red zone is. Okay, because you just don't have the room to operate. Have big bodies in there can move people around. And tight ends do a good job of, getting up to linebackers, getting up to safeties, and, blocking defensive ends. So you get skinny in the hole. You just need a little bit of room down there just to make something work. That's why I'm not a big fan with bringing in the other tackle, when you got capable tight ends that could do it. You know why? Because you could pass out of it too. So why hamstring yourself when you may have to run play action with that guy? Okay. And do I want a big bumbling guy running a route that has never run it before and catching footballs? No. Bring the tight end in. That's what you do. Bring the tight end in. So when you look at short yardage, you look at that red zone and going in, tight ends are absolutely a weapon. You got to utilize that. And like I said, we got 3 good ones. We got 3 good ones here. So, and they do too. They got a couple good weapons. They're gonna try to get it to Likely. Okay, if what's name Andrews come back, they're gonna try to give it to him as well. But for the Chiefs wise, man, you see, it's the proof is in the pudding. I'm looking at the stats. The proof is in the pudding. When we sit there and we watch what they're able to do, the offensive output, the tight ends are directly the key to what we do. Seriously. Shout out to the tight ends, baby. Shout out to the tight ends. That's the brotherhood, baby. Come on. That's a good question. I love it. I love tight end questions. Love it.
And they're paying homage to you and Tony and doing a really good job of paying homage to you guys, the Throwbacks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'll tell you what, when we showed this film against, on Friday, and it's kind of us back in the day. They keep talking about the offensive line, but what you see in this whole offensive line, you see number 89 knocking a hose down. You see the tight ends catching footballs and touchdowns. Okay, you see all of this happening. So don't leave us out of it. We were stellar. Okay, an integral part of what we did, integral part of what we did. So I think maybe sometimes they forget I was a tight end, how big I was to everybody else, and the way I was modeling defensive end and linebackers, man. Hey, like, tight ends ain't supposed to do this. You ain't supposed to bench press a defensive end into the end zone. JD does. That's what I do. So
JD was giving him the business.
Business. Yes, sir. Y'all know.
It's someone I don't know. I feel like it was on Twitter when I posted the Joe Thuney, what you said about how you had the torn pec and he's a pec strain and being able to keep it in here. If he gets outside of that, then he's kind of in trouble anyways. But we need to keep everything in here. Yeah. And someone commented was like, yeah, but he was a tight end. It's a little different for a guard. It's like, wait, okay.
What?
Did you watch JD play? Because JD wasn't your traditional tight end just running routes. I mean, I don't know. I think some people just don't know history.
Dude, listen, and that's when you could tell somebody that they just don't have the knowledge. Okay, they don't, bless their heart. They just don't understand. It's no different, right? And like you said, I knew I had to block inside. I was on the wing, field goal. And so I had to switch to the other side, obviously, because I didn't want to push this back. But everything I did, I'm playing 75% of the snaps and I'm blocking. That was my thing. That's what I did. They have no clue. Sometimes, it was kind of, one of the dudes asked me last night in the spaces. He was like, hey, man, what do you think? What should I see that I haven't seen before? I'm a young guy. I was 5 when you were coming in. And, what do you think I need to see? I said, man, I want you to recognize and go back and see how good of a team that we had. Our offense led the entire league with 3 to 4 years in a row. I said, but we were damn good. We were damn good up front. We had a hell of an offense, the best in the league. And so it didn't matter what teams knew we were running. We were still handing them, giving them the business. Like you said, we was giving the business to them. We saying we're going to run right here. You stop us. And they couldn't stop us. Didn't matter. So whether it was me or Tony or Will Shields or Willie Rofe or Brian Waters, T. Rich, Casey Wigman, John Tate, John Wellborn, I could go on and on. That's what was going on out there. And what we was doing, man, we was giving jokers absolute headaches and speed knots on their head. But I said, man, you need to go back and look at some of this video of what we used to do. But I said, we were a machine. We were an absolute machine. So.
At least there's people out there who, want to go out back and watch them. Because, for me, it's I get, was you're a Chiefs fan, you don't know anything about the early 2000s? I started watching during the Alex Smith era. It's wait, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, right, man. I get it. No, hey, look, I get it. And he was a new fan. I said, but, new fans just need to understand that. I know sometimes I hear people go back to that whole Brady Quinn and all that before then. I wasn't part of that. That was a bad era. Okay. Yeah. We had some great times. We had some good teams, when I played. Yeah. So I'm like, hey man, we weren't part of that. I like that whole, because I understand it was a dark time You know, in the in the what's that? Oh shoot, I was going to use a Star Wars reference. You know,
Oh, the
in the Imperial, the Alliance, or whatever during that time.
Rebel Alliance.
Yeah, but man, we had bright days. We had bright days. We should have won a Super Bowl, Marcus. We should have won a Super Bowl, possibly two of them. Seriously, we had the talent. You know, our problem was we just had a problem stopping people.
Could stop a nosebleed.
Yeah, you know, but we had talented guys on defense. I think obviously some of the scheme probably wasn't suited for our guys. If Spags had our guys, if we had Spags, man, it might have been a whole different thing.
Yeah, no, he talked about it a lot about how the schemes made no sense sometimes. Yeah.
You put guys in jeopardy. There was a lot of things that really didn't. It wasn't no continuity. Didn't make sense.
Yeah,
and you started getting away from the whole plays instead of players, right? So
we did have a lot of talent on the defense too.
Yeah, we did.
But before we move away from this tight end topic, I wanted to ask before we get to game picks. I wanted to ask you this. So, on the New Heights podcast, Kelseys Podcast with his brother. A lot of good nuggets in that episode, but this is interesting. I thought this was really cool, and I wanted to hear what you had to say. So Kelce blames the McCole Hardman fumble on himself. So, quote, "I owe McCole a effing new car. I owe much to him. My block was one that knocked the ball out, and I've been effing sick. I told him I apologize to him every single time I effing saw him today, and I'll apologize to him again. My guy's just trying to be great and get the ball in the end zone. He finished the play better than I did. They got a hand on the ball. I owe my guy big time. I feel for my guy. There's nothing worse than giving up the ball, especially in that situation. That shit sucks. McCole is fired up to getting after it again. I know he wants another opportunity to show what he can do, and sure enough, you will see him next Sunday come up at the right time, and that should never effing happen." So he's saying it was his block because it was it Poyer that made the play on the ball, and I guess that was his block.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear a tight end say that, kind of blame it on himself, obviously that's a good leader move to do that. But JD, as a tight end, when you miss a block, does that obviously McCole fumbled the ball. Kelce didn't fumble the ball, but missing the block, how is that equivalent to dropping a pass for a tight end?
It is, especially if you might be one of the key blocks. Everybody's trying to do their job, and if you miss your block and the guy you're blocking makes the play, that's even worse because you're just hoping, oh my gosh, I hope he doesn't make the play. I hope he's not in there. And if he makes the play, you're like, oh my gosh. So, hey man, no, I get it. He's just holding himself accountable for what he didn't do right on that play. And the thing is, McCole's got to hold himself accountable for what he didn't do right on the play. But it's your partner, man, jumping on the grenade for you. And I get it. Everybody's got a job to do. Everybody needs to do their job. And so, to me, there's other plays you probably could have ran, but if we're just talking about that particular play and the fumble in itself, hey man, if Travis sees it and that's how he feels and he get the block, but shoot, he's got to make that play. He's got to make it. So I'm not telling him anything that he didn't know. He's saying it himself. But the same thing with McCole. He's got to make sure that he holds on to the football, right? Because you're always going to have guys come in and punch at it, kick at it, do all those different things, try to get the ball out of your hand. You got to make sure you secure the football. That's what you have to do. So I'm looking for McCole Hardman to come and have a good game. Hey, how about that? Last week, that's over with. Hey, move forward. We need you this week, and we need you in the Super Bowl. That's the way I look at it. So, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Water under the bridge.
And Hardman's not historically, but he's dominated the Ravens. He's had some highlight plays against the Ravens in the past, and that was when they had a top 10 pass defense too. So it's not like anything different from what we've experienced before against them.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. One thing I don't like hearing, and people are so quick to just give up on a guy. I don't want to see no more of McCole Hardman. Don't run him ever. Why is he's a waste of this? And people go in on him. I'm not like that. As a player, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to say, well, don't give him the ball or, sit him or just I'm not going to do that. You know, I've been in the locker room. I've been on the field. I wouldn't want nobody giving up on me because I messed up. Or, you know, I didn't do something correct. Yep. So it's easy to say when you out here, see, this is the whole wheelbarrow thing, right? This is the whole wheelbarrow. Because if you're all the way in, you're all the way in riding the wheelbarrow. And that's everybody that's on the Chiefs, you got to ride with them. Okay? That was my exact point. If you ain't heard about the wheelbarrow, go back to our show and look at it. I might talk about it again on Friday. I don't know. We might play it. But I'm telling you, look, you got to trust the guys. If guys mess up on plays, then so be it, they mess up. But you got to move forward. It's one snap and clear. That's the way it's got to be. Fans are not like that because they got replays. They got all these different things. They dissect it the way they want to. But for players, you got to forget about that and just go and start moving forward, man. Try to do more, right? Because you still got a job to do. Hello, you still got a job. And so McCole can still help us. He's a very capable player. The game that he had before coming into the playoffs, he had a great game. Catching deep passes. I mean, he was killing them. And so that's the guy we need to see. We need to see the focused up McCole Hardman. Okay. I still got faith in him. I just say the selective play that we ran shouldn't have probably been that. I want to run jet sweep with Cole. I want to run the reverse or the fly motion. I want to do all those things with McCole. Maybe not at that exact time as me, who's called plays before. That would have been my first choice. Not even my second. So, especially when I see my running backs doing what they was doing. Yeah. But I think it's just other plays. But I'm without a doubt in support of McCole Hardman. I hate it when people just immediately just dismiss people because they messed up. We've done that to MVS. So all of a sudden people start loving him again. I'm going to give him love because I knew we needed this guy. Okay? We could talk about how much money he's making and all of that. Well, look, we still employing you for a job. Okay? I'm not going to take however much money he was making and put him on the edge of the bench. It does nothing for us. Especially when we still need him. We're going to utilize this guy. I don't care what it is that you need to do. If you're not being able to contribute, doing it by catching the football, you're going to do something else. You're going to block your butt off. And I better see it. If you're not getting your blocks and you're not catching the football, then it's like, okay, now that's different. Then you sit a guy. But as far as like a dude, look, he had a bad game, by all measures because, he had two touches and 2 fumbles. But he's a much better player than that. We've seen it in the past, like you said. So I'm just not dismissive of players. So I'm supporting McCole Hardman and all the guys out there on the Chiefs. I'm in the wheelbarrow, Marcus. I'm in the wheelbarrow because I've been in the locker room and I know what it means to be on a team. And you just don't count guys out. You don't dismiss them. You don't throw them to the wayside.
Yeah, and I think people, if they want to dismiss McCole Hardman, then dismiss Andy Reid's play calls. Then you can play that game all throughout the thing. I mean,
where you want to start, right? Where you want to start? Really.
Yeah. So that McCole, I expect him to play up for this game, and Andy does love going back to guys who have made mistakes to kind of give him that confidence boost again. So I could definitely see him having a big play against the Ravens this week, and we're gonna need all hands on deck for this game. So
I can see something like McCole Hardman because of the guys they have on the other side. He might want to show out, right? Because you see Zay Flowers, OBJ, and all those guys. McCole, he likes that. He likes kind of that attention, doing things. He wants to show up like, hey man, I'm one of the big dogs too, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Hi everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.